What if the very fears holding you back right now could be seen, decoded, and released in the out-of-body state or a dreamlike experience? In this video, I'm going to share with you how one of my deepest subconscious fears that was still holding on was able to be shown to me in a symbolic way in the out-of-body state, and I was able to decode the symbology I was receiving from my subconscious mind in such a way that it led me directly to the root and the causation of this fear that had caused looping patterns and unwanted negative cycles in my life that was finally explained and so clear to me. So be sure to listen to the end because I'm going to help you explore how to decode this symbology for your own subconscious mind, whether you're in the out-of-body state or even just from your dreams. This video has the potential to help you decode and dissolve those fears that have been causing unwanted cycles and negative patterns across your entire life that you just can't seem to find the root cause of. So I've spent many years peeling back the different layers in the subconscious mind so I can reveal the fears and blocks that have been holding me back, because I was so intensely curious about what caused the mechanics of the subconscious mind to start creating patterns and looping experiences in the physical. So if you've experienced anything like that, where you simply just can't work out why these negative cycles keep repeating, seemingly like you're living in Groundhog Day, then learning how to decode the symbolic language of your mind is going to profoundly help you identify the cause, the root cause of these cycles, so you can once and for all collapse and dissolve these loops to experience different outcomes. So before we begin, welcome back to my channel. My name's Todd, and if you're new here, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button so you can become part of this community that I'm building here, where we explore everything about consciousness and the mechanics of reality so you can achieve more mastery over your experience. So back to the video. I want to explain a little bit more about my story of astral travel or out-of-body travel that I experienced recently, and how I was able to decode the symbology that I was shown so I could finally find the root cause of some certain negative and unwanted patterns that had been looping throughout my life, and it helped me dig down into a core fear that I hadn't been able to fully dissolve until now. So not too long ago, I was using my usual protocol of going out of body, and I was laying on my side, and then the next thing I knew is that I was actually waking up in the out-of-body state. I didn't realize it at first that I was out of body, because it oftentimes seems very, very real, very, very physical until I become aware. As I was walking to my door, I realized I was in the out-of-body state. I don't know exactly what triggered the realization or the awareness that I was out of body, but I became aware that I was. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a certain fear popped up. And the fear was that I was going to see some beings that I didn't want to see out of body. So as I went to open the door, my bedroom door, to step towards the living room, the fear popped up even stronger. And remember, this fear that I was experiencing was about seeing something I didn't want to see. And remember that, because that's going to become important later in this story. So as I was opening the bedroom door, the fear became too strong, and I decided that I would close the door. As I closed the bedroom door, what I then realized is that my eyes were also closed. And no matter how hard I tried, I could not force them open. It was like the most heavy drowsiness feeling I've ever felt in terms of having my eyelids shut. They were just like lead blocks that absolutely wouldn't open, no matter how much effort or forcing I would try to open my eyes. And so I thought that was quite strange. But during the out-of-body state, what I decided to just leave them closed, because it was just too much effort to open them up, and that I would start trying to progress my out-of-body experience whilst having my eyes closed. So as I had my eyes closed, I would set a few different commands, which is usually what I do to start the out-of-body state, so I can set the experience. I commanded, if you've heard of William Buhlman, the out-of-body teacher, he teaches certain commands like higher self now, which brings more and more of your higher self energy and awareness into the experience by saturating your immediate energy field with that presence and frequency. So that's what I did as step one. I commanded higher self now, and I immediately felt the entirety of my energy field start being flooded with more and more vibration, more and more frequency, and more awareness. And I commanded another couple of things, but it's not really that important to the story, because shortly thereafter I woke up immediately in my body in bed. Now, where this story takes a detour is after waking up in the physical, after being in that experience, what I'll usually do is write down or create a journal entry for any out-of-body experience I had and detail the particulars of that experience. And what I noticed is that as I was creating the journal entry, I kept coming back to this theme of I wasn't able to open my eyes. I couldn't see. And there was a certain fear around seeing, observing in that experience. What I decided to do is, instead of ignoring it and just palming it off as a coincidence, I found it really strange, because in past out-of-body experiences, I have been able to open my eyes, and my eyes have been open the whole time, and I haven't had any sort of issue with being able to observe in the out-of-body state. So that's where I thought it was kind of strange. So what I did is I decided I wanted to look more into the fear around why I was unwilling to see. I know that I was unwilling in that moment and fearful of seeing other beings, obviously over fear of them being negative beings or something nefarious. And what's even more strange about that is that from past experiences, I already know that from interacting with other beings, that nothing can negatively touch you at the soul level or in that out-of-body state where you're in your soul body. I found it really strange that I had that fear still, because I've already experienced counter to that should have eliminated all that fear. So that told me that there was something still in my subconscious somewhere in my field that was creating that frequency of fear to be in my energetic field. So then what I did is went into meditation, and I started asking my higher mind, my soul, my higher awareness and intelligence, what am I unwilling to see, and where did this core frequency of fear first originate? And essentially I was using what I usually use called the golden thread technique, and if you want to learn more about that, I'll link that up at the end of this video. But essentially what that does is it uses the fear itself to act as a golden thread, so you can then trace back to its genesis, to its core causation, so you can begin to resolve it. And so what I was then shown during meditation is that fear of being unwilling to open my eyes and see during the out-of-body state was originally caused in a past life. And in this past life, I had actually witnessed and observed, let's say, a horrific experience which included a lot of other people suffering, and I witnessed their suffering. So that created sort of like, you could say, a tattoo on my soul record that then is being felt and embodied in this lifetime and in this experience as a core fear. And seeing this again, because I was actually already aware of this particular scene in a past life, as I had discovered it some time ago during a past life regression. But what it told me is that I hadn't fully resolved and collapsed this fear back into neutrality. And because this fear had still been active in my energy field, it had caused a looping pattern in this lifetime of me being unwilling to see and not willing to look at certain areas even in my life that were extremely uncomfortable. And certainly in this lifetime, I've had a real aversion to witnessing other people's suffering. It's like I can't stand it. Obviously, not many people like to see other people suffering. That's a given. But it's almost like I had a phobia of watching other people suffering. I just absolutely couldn't handle it. And so the combined effect of this frequency in my life of being unwilling to look at really, really uncomfortable situations and almost just ignore it, and also being unwilling to see any suffering, had really been a sort of theme and a pattern that I was able to see clearly during this meditation as directly being caused from this past life experience. So the good news about witnessing things like this in meditation is you'll know that it's resonant for you, and you know it's true because it creates a really profound resonance within you. It's like a huge epiphany. It's almost like an immediate relief as well, because suddenly you realize, oh, this is why I do this act of self-sabotage, for example. This is why this pattern keeps playing out, and no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to resolve it. So the immediate feeling of relief and epiphany almost lets you know this is an accurate symbol of that fear, or you've really hit on the core causation of what is causing this fear to replay in your life. And while sometimes that can be enough to clear something completely, just seeing it, oftentimes when it comes to past life especially, past life fears can often play out as being much stronger than any fears that you've picked up in this lifetime. So sometimes, and in my case, it needs more revisiting, which is why I was brought back to this scene in a past life. And so what I did was I intuitively was guided to create a completion process for this fear, for the being in that past life to feel the completion of that frequency, so it could be transmuted completely back into neutrality or back into the core frequency of the soul. What I was guided to do is to just simply take that being, or you could say the past life version of myself, take that being into a completion process of seeing it going into the white light of a higher realm, or you could say the heaven realm, so that that lifetime could be completed and that fear could completely dissolve into the white light of the higher realm. And that created an immediate shift, immediate relief within my energy field and the aura. And you'll know when you clear something completely, or at least the feeling I get when I clear something completely, because it's almost like the energy, the dense energy that's been sitting in that location of your field for so long instantly seems to become just completely transparent, almost like it turns into a void. And the void then gets filled with the light and the frequency of your soul. And so it might be a good exercise for you now to just think about what areas of your life have you been experiencing like it's Groundhog Day? What negative and unwanted patterns have you continually been coming back to and being presented with and experiencing that you wish were no longer there, but no matter how much you wish they weren't there, you can't seem to get to the root cause of what's causing them, and you can't seem to resolve them. And then you might want to ask your higher self or guides or whatever you resonate with to show you symbols, show you symbolically, show you signs that you can use to start decoding what the causation of these could be. If you haven't been out of body or in the out of body state yet, astral projection, you can ask for these symbols to be presented to you in dreamlike states, and then you can journal on those dreams the next day and then meditate on them as well. And it'll achieve a similar effect, because remember, these are just symbols of your own subconscious mind that we're being presented with to decode and interpret, and they can lead you to the relief that you've been looking for. And if you want to go deeper into the technique that I've talked about earlier, the golden thread technique that I come back to time and time again when it comes to completing and resolving these negative unwanted patterns and getting to the root cause of your fears, I've placed this video just above here that you can click on now, and that's going to take you to my video on a practical exercise where I lead you through the practice of the golden thread technique. So I'll see you over there.